Hello and welcome to part 2 of my introduction to mod authoring series. I think that's what I'm going to call it. I have no idea. In this one, I'm going to cover a short intro to the Geck. Keep in mind, I use intro very carefully there because this is not going to be a tutorial. You're not going to be learning anything in depth from here. It's mostly just to get you comfortable with the UI and be less intimidated by the whole process. It'll also give you a good visualization of what kind of workflow you might expect from using the Geck. So as I said in this series, we're just going to cover the Geck, and we're actually going to be using the plugin that we created in the last video, the xEdit tutorial. So if you haven't followed that tutorial, it's not going to be too big of a deal if you didn't. Basically, we're just doing a simple edit to a weapon in the Geck, changing a couple statistics and attributes to it. Other than that, not too much is going to go on here. So if you'd like to learn about the Geck, continue following along. And in the third video, we're going to be doing the X load gen program. Alrighty, so the first thing we need to do is actually install the Geck in the first place. So as a GOG user, the Geck is already installed on your system, so you can skip a couple seconds here. But for Steam users, you need to open up Steam and then search the word Geck. You should see the Geck New Vegas edition show up. All you need to do is click install and then install the Geck to the same directory that your New Vegas file is in. So with that, just next through here until the Geck is installed. Once it's there, you should see the Geck.exe in your game folder. And now you need to install, well, you should install the Geck Extender. Now the Geck Extender is a DLL that will extend the Geck functionality and provide an absolute metric ton of bug fixes. I cannot use the Geck without it, and I highly recommend you download it yourself. So head to the Geck Extender link that I've provided in the description. And you need to download two files. The first one is the Geck itself. So this is going to replace the Geck.exe with one that is 4 GB aware and is able to load all of the proper DLLs that it needs to. And then you also need to download the NVSC plugin. So with the NVSC plugin, you need to install that through MO2. So we'll do this first. Just mod manager download the plugin, and then just install it like you would any other mod. I already have it installed, so I'll just click replace. And then you're also going to want to manually download the exe, so go ahead and download that. If you are using Root Builder like me, you'll want to install the Geck through Root Builder. And if you want to know how to set that up, just create a root folder and place the exe inside of there. If you're not using Root Builder, simply open up your game folder and then open up the archive that we downloaded. And you're just going to drag and drop the Geck.exe into here, replacing the one that's already there. I already have it figured out, so I'm not going to do that. But let's go ahead and, close all of this stuff. So with the Geck Extender, if you're going to be doing any scripting in the Geck, which you probably will, you should also download Hot Reload. Now, Hot Reload is an xNVSC plugin that will allow you to edit scripts while in-game. It will also allow you to open scripts with the Notepad or Notepad++, making scripting just infinitely easier in the Geck. Normally, you'd have to use the Gex window to edit scripts, and it is an absolute hassle. So I highly recommend you download and install Hot Reload, just like you would any other NVSC plugin. I already have it installed, so I'll just click replace. And that's all there is to it. The next thing, I'm just going to show you a couple of resources here. Learning the Geck will be infinitely easier if you use the Geck Wiki. They have a fantastic My First Vault tutorial series, as well as Bethesda's very own Geck tutorial series. You can find everything you'll ever want to know via the appendix on the side here. And you could, if you aren't finding out something directly, you could always ask in xNVSC server in the Wiki area, or in TTW server or any other server that mods frequently, where you could look and they might be able to provide you a link to the Geck Wiki and the specific page that you need. There's also a good place to start with scripting is here too, scripting for beginners. So head over here to the Geck Wiki if you're ever lost and wondering what the next step should be in your mod. This is the link to the My First Vault tutorial series. I'll have this linked in the description. And here is a playlist with all of Bethesda's very own created Geck tutorials. And I watched all of these myself when learning the Geck, and I highly recommend you do it. It is very, very quick and very easy and very intuitive to get started with. So with all of those, we can jump into the Geck itself. So MO2 should automatically detect your Geck. If it doesn't, just set up your Geck with the same paths as I do. Just make sure you have your Geck.exe and then the root folder itself for the start inbox. I once again created an empty mod called Geck Output, and I output all of my files to there instead of overwrites. With all those settings set up, there's one more thing we should do, which is open up your any editor of choice. Then MO2, just click the jigsaw, click any editor, and go to GeckCustom.ini. This is a feature of the Geck extender, and there's a couple settings we're going to want to change in here. First one is bUse, so I just hit Control F, and then I'm typing in bUseMultibounds. We'll just type in bUseMulti. There it is. You're going to want to set this to 0. This is just going to enable you to see things that would be hidden from the multi-bounds, basically. And then we're also going to bAllowMultiple, as we're looking for multiple master loads. We're going to want to set this to 1. And we're also going to just hit next again to find multiple editors. Let's also set this to 1. Next, we're going to just search localization, and it should take you down here. Set the iExtendedTopicLength here to 255 and bAllowExtendedText to 1. Once you change all of those any settings, simply click Save and then open up the construction kit by clicking Run in MO2. Now, what we're going to do in this instance is we're just going to load up our assault rifle buff ESP. To do that, just double click it. You'll see it'll check mark it for you. And then you can click Set as Active File, and that will make it so any changes you make in the Geck will apply only to this file. To briefly break down what's going here, this is similar to xEdit. In anything that you enable here, it will show up and allow you to use its resources in the Geck. If you have a mod like the assault rifle buff here with a bunch of parent masters, it will also automatically load all of these masters for you, so you can use all of their stuff. Hopefully that's making sense. And the difference between active and just being checked on like this is that the active file, once again, only changes are made to the active file and nothing else. So no matter how much I mess around with stuff in Broken Steel or Point Lookout, it won't actually apply to the Point Lookout or Broken Steel ESMs. It'll just be contained within my ESP. And you can only have one active file at once. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and click OK with our active file. And this might take a little while to load, so I will leave you guys to load for a moment. Alrighty, now that our Geck has loaded, you'll notice there's just a ton of stuff happening. And don't be too spooked by this. It looks a little scary at first, but it's really not too bad once you understand what's going on. So I'm just going to start by explaining to you what a render window, object window, and cell view is. So the render world, or the render window, is going to be your 3D viewer for what's being impacted in the game cells. So this will be what we use to view what's going on. Object window, this shows all of your form IDs and editor IDs. So you can drag them into your render window and place them in game, or you can edit their forms basically just by double clicking on them, the same way that you would in xEdit basically. The cell view down here just shows you all of the cells in the game. So this is everywhere that you can teleport to or enter. There's also a world space drop down. So this is what we're seeing down here is just interiors. If we wanted to see the exterior DC, if you have TTW, you could open those. There's also wastelands or landscape, wasteland, NV. There's a bunch of different world spaces. In this video, we're just going to add a quick place down of our assault rifle in the TTW test cell, just for this example. So let's just start out by editing our already existing assault rifle. So one little tip I'm going to give you guys is to use this extensions object window only show edited toggle. This will toggle it so that you only see things that are edited within your mod. So if I click all down here, this is the all category, it will show everything that's edited within my mod. And since the assault rifle is the only thing that I've edited, it's going to be the only thing in this list. So all I'm going to do here is double click on the assault rifle. So this is going to be the exact same stuff that you can see in xEdit. However, I prefer the visual presentation of the Geck a little bit more, and it makes a lot more sense to me personally. So I usually do most of my mod editing in the Geck itself. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename the ID for my weapon. And you typically want to follow the prefixes that the vanilla game has. So I'm going to prefix it with WEP, W-E-A-P. And then I'm just going to call my new ID the Wacky Assault Rifle, just because I'm going to make it a little wacky. And I'm also going to change the name here. So this is the in-game name itself to Wacky Assault Rifle. Okay. So by making a new ID, what you're doing is separating it from the original editor ID and making it its own ID. So this will no longer affect vanilla assault rifles. It will only be applied to the Wacky Assault Rifle. So let's just click OK to create our new form. And whenever you get prompted to create a new form, you always want to say yes. Because basically, if we were to say no here, it would just rename the WEP Assault Rifle to WEP Wacky Assault Rifle and carry over all of our changes. And all of the original assault rifle stuff would be broken now because we got rid of the assault rifle form. Since I'm on TTW, there's already a Fallout 3 assault rifle form, but everything else would be broken that references the assault rifle form. Hopefully that made sense. So in this case, we're just going to click yes to basically copy and rename our form. Alrighty, so now it will show up over here, and you can see the editor ID right here for our new item. We are just going to double click on it, and we're back in that same window. I'm just going to change a couple things so it's a little bit more crazy. So you can see our clip round is carried over from our old change where it's at 100. You can also see all of the things we could see before. There's the weight, health, spread. I'm just going to bump the fire rate. I'm just going to double it for the sake of it. And you can change a lot of other stuff in here if you'd like. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to change a couple things. If you're ever going to be messing with weapons, always base your weapon off of something vanilla and don't try to create your own thing from scratch, because there's going to be certain flags that you're going to want to make sure are carried over from vanilla weapons so your mod doesn't break. Now, if you know what these flags do, feel free to mess around with them. But let's just change over to the art and sound tab here. So we can see the Pip-Boy images and the message icon that we saw earlier. And we can also see the model in here. So this is the mesh, as we said earlier. If I wanted to use a new mesh, I would change the path in here by clicking Edit, then Edit in the next box. If I did it here, it would clear the model, so I'm not going to do that. This is also the first-person model, so this is what the weapon looks like in first person. So when you have it equipped, this one here is just what it looks like out in the world. Projectile is something we're going to change here just so it's super obvious what we're doing. And I'm just going to put this on the Alien Blaster projectile just because I know it's crazy and I think it's hilarious. So we've got that applied now. You can change lots of other things in here. So play around to your own taste. I'm also going to change the sound here just so we can hear something funky. And sure, we'll put this on, let's put this on the recharger rifle. So we see there's 2D, 3D, and 3D distance, and we just want to follow along with what these are down here. So since I'm changing the 3D sound, I'm just going to change this to weapon, recharger rifle, fire, 3D. We're going to change this one to the recharger rifle, 3D distance, and this one to the 2D. And I'm just double clicking those to select them. I also want to change one more thing. Let's change the object effect. And I really like, I'm planning on using one of these in an upcoming mod, but I really like the TTW Cryolator effect. So let's find that. And I could have just typed it in if I knew exactly what it was called, but I didn't. But here it is, TW Enchant Cryolator. And I'm just going to apply that here. It's going to look really crazy, and I think it's hilarious. Okay, so with all of our changes done, let's just click OK here. And as you can see, we still have the assault rifle in here from earlier, and this is because we still edited the assault rifle. Now we could right-click and delete this, so the assault rifle is vanilla, basically what it is in TTW. We could also do this in xEdit. I'm not going to delete it here just so I can show you how to do it in xEdit as well, but for starters, we've got our weapon Wacky Assault Rifle. We now just need to place it somewhere. So let's go to an interior, and I'm just going to put this in the TTW test cell. So I'm going to type in TTW test, and I typed it too slow, so we're just going to try that again. TTW, oops, I typed TTT, TTW test Roy. So you can see it'll pull up the test room that I would like to use. So this is going to be new for a lot of you, but the controls are going to be a little crazy, and there's going to be a reference in the description that will teach you the controls. But for now, just know that holding shift and dragging the mouse we'll rotate the camera, holding the middle mouse button and dragging, we'll pan the camera. By scroll wheeling, I can zoom in or out. If I hold Alt scroll wheel, it'll go a little slower. Same applies for the rotation as well. So let's just find a good place to put it. I'm just going to put it right on the ground right here. And what I'm going to do that is I'm just going to click on my editor ID here, and I'm just going to drag it into the render window. And if I let go, it'll place it right there. Now I don't want my weapon to just be floating here. Well, Havoc would actually take care of that for me, but I'm just going to press F to place it. You can see it's just going to put it right on the ground. And that's what I want. So let's file save, and we can go check out this weapon in game. Alrighty, now that we are in game and in our cell, we just need to find our weapon, which will be right here on the ground as we left it. See, the value is 300 there. It's titled the Wacky Assault Rifle, which we changed it to. And if we pick it up, we can see the damage numbers are still crazy. And we've got our new object effect there, which is the bonus critical chance. So let's equip our weapon. As you can see, nothing visually changed here, but here, let me make it so it can capture the sound here. Okay, so with the sound now enabled, here's me firing the weapon. You can see we've got the recharger rifle sounds with the alien blaster projectile, and we've got the cryolator weapon effect. So that's just a super quick and dirty, pretty cool weapon, right? And you could probably go crazy and make super cool stuff really easy with relative ease. Like, that only took me, what, 5 minutes to make this? I probably could have done it in a minute. But this doesn't change the actual look of the model itself, and I will cover that in a future video, which will be a more advanced guide. I'll have resources for everything that it takes to change a mesh in the description, but I won't show how to use them until the next video. There's our weapon. Let's go over to xEdit. Actually, that's a good point, actually. Let's find the vanilla assault rifle, which is right here. Right here. Now, what we didn't do earlier, which we should have, is make a new form for our assault rifles. As you can see, it's still our 100 clip more damaging version, which is every assault rifle in the game. So let's head over to xEdit and correct that. All right, so before you launch xEdit, we're actually going to use a different branch or function of xEdit this time. So this time we're going to use the very quick show conflicts option of xEdit. Now, I did change this off screen, but as I called out earlier, I did have the wrong wording for this. I forgot to include I'm in here, so make sure you do that. But let's run the very quick show conflicts. And as you can see, it's not going to prompt me to select the modules this time. It's just going to load everything with a filter that shows conflicts. So that's things that are being overwritten. You won't see anything that it is its own mod added record. So if we now open up our assault rifle buff in our weapon category, we don't see our wacky assault rifle. It would be right here. But since we have our conflict version of xEdit run, we don't see that. We only see things that are conflicting. And since there is a conflict right down here, this form is going to show up. And what we want to do, since we created our own new form to hold our assault rifles, and we don't want to modify every assault rifle in the game, we're just going to right-click and remove this entire form here. So make it so it's just going to use the Tale of Two Wastelands assault rifle form. So just say yes to this prompt, and then save. Simple as that. And the next thing we're going to talk about is Notepad++, scripting, hot reload, and how they all work together. Now, I do highly recommend that you guys check out something on the xNVSE server. So I'm going to pull up Discord here. Alrighty, so as you can see within Discord here, we're going to be looking at this message here by C6. And we're also going to make sure, in this case, you should already have Notepad++ installed. I'll have a link to Notepad++ in the description. We're going to open up this GitHub here, and we'll just read about the note here from C6. So what we're downloading is a syntax highlighting for dark mode with autocomplete, which was made by a fellow modder, Zalandro. And this just makes it so the syntax is highlighted in Notepad++. So, and by syntax, that's the Geck syntax. You also need to have this dark theme for it to work. And I'll show you how to install all this. So the first thing we're going to do is download the attachment. And like I said, I'll have a link to this message. It is in the xNVSE server, so you do have to be in there. So that, just download it over here. And we also need to download this theme. So click on here and then right click, save as, and I'm just going to put it in my downloads. Alrighty, so now that we have those downloaded, we can go ahead and install them. So to do that, just hit Windows R. Whoops, that was Windows E. Windows R and type in %appdata%, and then click OK. And then it's going to take you to your app data roaming folder. You just need to go within Notepad++ here. You should see, if you don't see a themes folder, you're going to want to create a new folder and just title it themes. And with that, we're just going to place our theme in here. So I already have it installed, but to do that, you just drag the download into here, and it should look like this. We need to open up the user-defined lengths folder here and grab the files within the zip. So that was the one that we downloaded directly from the server. So open user-defined lengths, just drag them in. And then I already have them installed, so I'm just going to replace here. And then we also need to add the autocompletion, which is under program files. So go to your C drive, then go to program files, Notepad++, autocompletion, and then just drag these into here. Replace, since I already have them. Just say yes to the administrator prompts, and then those will be in there. Now we just need to open up Notepad++, and within here, just go to settings, preferences, and you need to go to settings, style configurator, and then select your theme VS 2019 dark from the dropdown. Okay, so how does that change things? Let's head over to the Geck, and I'm going to show you guys a mod that has some scripts in it so we can look at them. So let me make sure this just has everything it does. So we're just going to open up the Geck here by running it, and then the mod I'm going to work on now is this one. And then as you can see, since it already has scripts in it, when I open it up, it's going to pop up my scripts in a file explorer. So once that loads, I will show you guys. Alrighty, now that it's loaded, as you can see, this file popped up in the Explorer, and this is just all of the scripts that my mod has. So if I were to go to extensions, only show edited, under miscellaneous is where scripts will be, it just shows all of the scripts. Now, the default way to add its scripts in the Geck is to just simply double click on it. So I'll open one that's got a lot of lines in it. As you can see, you just get this, little window, and you can resize it, of course, but it's not very easy to read, right? If I scroll down, there's a ton of stuff going on, and it's kind of a nightmare to edit scripts in here. So instead, what you'd rather do is to open it within Notepad++. So I'll open that same script. As you can see, it's already a lot more readable. You can see the syntax highlighting is done for me as well, so I can understand where the syntax cues are. A lot easier. This is especially easy for someone who's new to scripting like me and barely know anything about scripting. So this was incredibly helpful for me in particular, just so I can see exactly where and when things are happening. And it just makes this infinitely easier to read, and it's an absolutely essential plugin. And huge thanks to Zalandro and the folks at the XNVSE server for even telling me this existed, because I would have absolutely loved to have these available to when I was editing the scripts from this original mod. So make sure if you are going to do any scripting that you download these essential optional items. Alrighty, so covering all of those, I think that just about wraps up the intro that I had planned for you guys. If you do have any other tips for new folks, if you have a little bit of experience with this program already, please leave it in the comments so I can add it to the description. I'd like for this video to, if possible, be a landing page for new folks, so any resources I can add would be absolutely immeasurably helpful. So thank you guys so much for watching the second video in this series. The next one I'm going to post is to cover xLoadGen, which really isn't an authoring tool, but more of a just using a mod tool. But that will be the next video in the series. I do plan on also covering some more advanced tools like NifSkope, Blender, everything you'll need to make your own meshes, models, and stuff like that. So that will be the next couple series. It'll take me a little bit to get those out, just so I can make sure all of the information I'm saying is correct. Alrighty, so off I send you to the next video in the series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out. Bye-bye.